and welcome to the 200th episode of the GrapeSEED official podcast. I am your guest host, Miklos Fayer, and I am welcomed today. I'm pleased to welcome our guest, who happens to be the regular host of the GrapeSEED official podcast. Adam, what's up?
Hey, I'm glad we actually made it here to 200. When we recorded 100, now would be 100 episodes ago. I wasn't quite sure we'd make it to 200, but we did, and now you're hosting again, and I'm excited to see what you have in store for us.
Yes, I am too. And I'm wondering, was there any fear of the podcast getting canceled between over the last 100 episodes?
Not necessarily canceled, but I was already feeling a little bit at episode 100 that okay, I've already done 100 episodes worth of content, right? Like, am I going to be able to do another 100 episodes worth of content?
Oh, right.
And we got there. We got there. It was I had to innovate on some new things, and you actually don't know this yet, Miklos, because we're recording this on the week where 196 is coming out. But
Ooh.
196 to 198 are my current team, my global training team. They're handling those episodes. So there
Oh.
is a new era beginning. So we don't have to worry. I don't have to worry so much about episodes 201 to 300 being another 100 episodes of content where I have to make it all by myself. So we can definitely probably make it to 300, but hopefully we can get there, and you can come back and guest host again.
Oh, that would be amazing. I'm already looking forward to it. Well, in order to get us into the celebratory mood, I'm going to pour myself a little Martinelli's sparkling cider, something a little bubbly for this celebration.
I do think before we start, we do need to mention the special event that you actually held in
Oh,
person. It
yes.
was very surprising because usually you and I, Miklos, we hang out maybe once every few months. I know you're
Mm-hmm.
usually busy with your kids and everything. And we had
Yeah.
a normally scheduled hangout time that I showed up for. And you decided that you wanted to meet in a park for some reason. So I rolled with it because I'm relatively flexible. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then all of a sudden, some of the former guests of the Grapeseed official podcast,
Mm-hmm.
they all just showed up right in front of me, and you had organized
Yes.
that everybody comes and hangs out for a bit. So quick shout outs to Aaron Jones and Matthew Green and his friend Michael, who was also on the
Mm-hmm. He was
podcast
on the
before.
podcast. Yeah.
And then yeah, Will Rice came too. It was it was quite the eventful time that I really wasn't expecting. And
Yeah, your
yeah,
face was pretty surprised when I liked it because I just was like, hey, before we go eat pizza, and catch up, let's go meet in a nice. It's autumn. It's still hot though. It's autumn here in Sendai, and I was like, let's go meet in one of my favorite parks and just enjoy just some people watching and just talk and then so I had met those guys before, and they came from far away. They came from Tokyo and Osaka, and
yeah, especially Will,
uh,
all the way from Osaka. That's
yeah,
that's a
yeah, he
pretty
flew in
big
from
trip.
Osaka for this, and so I was like, "Hey guys, how are we going to surprise Adam?" And so what we decided what to do was that okay, I'll figure out how to. I'll say, "Hey, let's take a selfie and like send to your wife or something, just to capture the moment." But you guys will be in the back, so you have to sneak up behind us and be in the back. So I took the selfie. And then I showed it to you, and I was like, "Dude, look at this. This is really weird. Look in the back of this picture." And you were just like, wow, we got photo bombed by some other foreigners. And one of them looks like Will. and
My
yeah,
awareness, my wife will attest to this as well. My awareness for things is not great. So yeah, I
it
don't
was
know.
amazing. I was texting those guys. I was like, you guys, come on, do something super loud and annoying. Make it crazy. And they finally did. And they walked by, and then when you finally realized what you were like, what's going on here? It was luckily Aaron had his really nice camera with him and captured a lot of awesome pictures of that. So yeah, it was a good time. And the reason for it was to celebrate 200 episodes of the podcast because those guys are big fans.
So yeah, thank you to those guys, and we hope everybody, and especially they, like this episode. So let's get into what we're going to talk about today, Miklos.
Yes, all right. Let me take a little sip of my Martinelli's sparkling cider. I'm not getting any any royalties for mentioning them. I just happen to like it. So let's see here.
We still don't have a sponsor for the podcast even after 200 episodes. Partly because
we should contact the Martinelli's people. It's my go-to drink at Thanksgiving. So this is a big milestone, 200 episodes. On behalf of you and everybody, I'd like to express our gratitude to everyone who listens. And to get things started, I would like to ask you, what if can you share a personal anecdote or a memorable moment from the past 100 or more? Actually, it can be from any episode, but any memorable moments that stand out from doing the podcast?
I think I'm going to take this in a slightly different direction, but I wanted to talk a little bit about just starting the podcast originally. We might have talked about this a little bit in episode 100, but I don't think we got into too many details. But so my boss, who was in charge of global training in implementation at the time, he was and still is a very avid podcast listener, and I subscribe to several kind of sports-based podcasts that I kind of check into. I'm a relatively decent sports fan that still tries to stay current on stuff going on in some of the sports leagues in America. And he pitched this idea to me: why don't we start our own podcast for GrapeSEED teachers? And it was just this weird. The initial thought process was a strange experience, just because I was already listening to so many of these things, but it had never occurred to me that this could be something that I could do, or that anybody would want to listen to me do. So trying to put together originally the plan for, okay, one of the really cool things about my boss, he still is my boss, we're in different positions now, but he basically will give you an idea of something that he would like to have done, and then he will let you work out all of the logistics and the plans for it. Of course, you got to run them by him, but he gives you a lot of autonomy in that regard. So when this podcast idea came up, it was like, okay, now I got to make a plan for what are we actually going to do.
Goodbye, my friends, goodbye. I'm sad to say goodbye. It was a good day, but now I will say goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.